Welcome to Tony Unleashed, the podcast where we unleash the truth about all things pets.
Our research and anecdotal evidence matched with pet expert interviews will help you help your pet thrive.
We are here to answer questions, divulge information, and spread awareness about what's really going on in the world of pets.
I am your co-host, Emily Taylor, pet nutrition enthusiast.
And I'm Tony Shalasky, owner of Healthy Pet Products with 3 locations in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area, and recently expanded to Port Charlotte, Florida. Welcome to the show.
On this episode of Tony Unleashed, we're going to talk about today, I don't know if this is the right way to phrase it, we can change it, but pyramid of feeding. Kind of the pyramid of
So when you said pyramid of feeding, it made me nervous.
Yeah, because then that's more like you should have...
Right. You should have X amount of grains, X amount of meat, X amount of bone, phosphorus, blah, 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 blah.
Hierarchy of feeding?
So if we're talking about, I usually say categories.
Categories, okay.
And that's a common thing that I talk about with customers that are...
It puts things in perspective, and it's very entry level. I mean, we're going to make this very entry level for those people who only know about kibble.
Yes.
And talk about, there's a lot of different categories and a lot of different ways to feed your dog.
There is, and everybody should know the difference between all of them, I feel.
Yeah.
So when I'm talking with a customer about different categories, I usually say, are you currently feeding kibble? Do you know the different categories that are available these days? Because it's very different now.
Yeah.
And then I start to list them from best to worst.
That's kind of like, that's what I sometimes do too, especially those customers who either just got a new dog and want to switch or want to switch for other reasons.
Right. Or
getting a new dog.
Getting a new dog, having issues, and you're getting into the whole nitty gritty of everything.
Right.
And I think people are usually shocked that there's
so many options.
And
it can be overwhelming. But going into this, there's so much play and variety and options. Like, you don't have to find one category and stick to it.
Absolutely not.
And you can experiment too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you have to see what your dog does or cat does best on.
And what makes your life, like what fits your lifestyle.
What fits your lifestyle, and we have to be, what fits your budget?
The budget, yeah.
Because we want to feed our pets the best, but we certainly don't want to compromise the household and the lifestyle, or be, out on the street or whatever. So,
but that point too, I think a lot of categories that people assume are very, very expensive are not as expensive and not as unreasonable as one would assume.
Right. I think as a store, we're sometimes known as, that place with all the expensive food. And that's honestly not the case.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. If you do have like 150 pound dog, it's going to be expensive no matter what.
No matter what.
Okay, so let's get into it. Let's see what we have here. So I have as first, because I know a lot of vets really like doing it this way if you do it the right way, but it can also be like a very dangerous way to feed, is homemade.
Homemade makes me nervous.
Yeah.
When customers come in and say they've been cooking for their dog since the 2007 pet food recall, I get very nervous.
Yeah.
A lot of the public thinks you can just feed chicken and rice or beef and rice,
right.
or whatever. There's a lot more to it.
That's not complete and balanced.
Correct. And not that a dog or cat would get a complete and balanced meal at every meal that they're fed, but over time, we have to have a balance of phosphorus and magnesium,
organs,
bone,
bone, phosphorus. Yeah.
Yes. So I get very nervous when people say they're home cooking and automatically say, are you following a balanced diet that a vet or a dietitian has formulated? And sometimes that's a yes, and sometimes that's a no.
Yeah. I have never tried it because I've never had the time to try it and do the research to
home cook.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
And I mean, you have
same.
to buy meat, bones, organs, vitamins, minerals, and all that stuff.
Right.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
So the next one we have is, and correct me if you think I'm wrong or you have a different opinion, raw, and specifically fermented raw or not processed raw.
Okay, so back up. So we're saying home cooked is the best category.
If you can do it correctly and do a complete and balanced diet.
I agree with you. And there's even studies proving that home cooked actually can come above.
Yeah, especially you're doing dark leafy greens, prevention of cancer. Check. You're doing other fruits and vegetables that are good. Check. You're doing a high quality, well-sourced meat. Check. Great. No synthetics, no preservatives.
No starches.
No chemicals, no vitamin packs on top.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's very clean.
Yes.
Even gently cooked, potentially.
Yes.
Homemade, though.
So, yes, I agree that is the best category. And then second would be a fermented raw, which there's only currently one in existence.
There's one that's in another country.
Oh.
They do more fermented fruits or vegetables than meat.
Okay.
In the food. I was looking at it today, but it could not be delivered to America.
No, I would think that would not be very cost effective.
No. So then there's a couple categories of raw that we are talking about. So the fermented, and then you have just, what would you call it? I have it written down as like unprocessed or just nothing. Packed meat in bag.
Packed meat, bone, and organs.
In bag.
Or
box.
I usually say ground meat, bone, and organs.
Yeah.
Some add a small percentage, 5 to 10% of fruits, vegetables, and botanicals. And so that would be next.
Yep.
And then third.
HPP.
Correct.
High pressure pasteurization.
Okay.
Which kills bacteria, quote unquote, kills bacteria to make it safer for human handling. Is the umbrella idea for people to HPP for other people's idea that needs to happen. Would you agree with that?
Say that again? Would I agree with what? That sentence didn't make sense. Did that sentence make sense?
A lot of people like the idea of high pressure pasteurization because they feel like it's safer whether it is or isn't.
Oh, okay. Bingo. Yes. You are correct.
And a lot of companies will just do their poultry. So their chickens and their ducks and their turkeys. Yep. And they won't high pressure pasteurize anything else. But they basically use cold water in plastic to try to kill bad bacteria.
Through pressure.
Yeah.
I've been to a high pressure pasteurization plant. So where Instinct's plant is, right next to them or very close to them is where they HPP. So when I toured the plant, they also took us through the HPP process. And human food is done in the HPP manufacturing facility that they use and everything. Like I literally saw like Tyson's chicken and everything in the plant. So it literally looks like this big vessel that a big plastic tube of their raw formula is put into this vessel.
Is it wrapped in plastic?
It is.
Okay.
It is. And then sealed. And then pressure explodes.
Isostatic pressure chamber is what it's called.
And it pulverizes the cells of the Listeria,
E. coli,
salmonella,
Yeah.
It's 3.
Yeah. Without using heat.
It is a cold pressure pasteurized, which many things on the planet are currently cold pressure pasteurized.
But some people claim, or I've heard, that it's not guaranteed. It doesn't always kill this bacteria. It just dormants it so that it can potentially come and resurface. So it's not like...
But if it's frozen, would it resurface?
I don't know. Let me keep reading here. I don't know. I guess could. I mean, can't bacteria grow on thawed out meat? Isn't that why you can't keep it thawed for very long?
On thawed out meat.
Yeah.
But on frozen meat, it can't.
Yeah, on frozen. But once it thaws.
Once it's thawed is where,
Well, we don't want to get into I don't think this is the time to get
No.
into dogs handling bacteria differently.
No, we can stick to the category. I mean.
But, it is, if you are someone who's worried, we do get a lot of questions about, well, is my dog going to get E. coli, salmonella, whatever? Am I going to get it from touching this raw meat? You can feel more comfortable if that's the type of person you are who want to feed a raw diet to get an HPP diet.
Mm-hmm.
And you're still feeding a less processed, no heat meal.
Correct.
So then I threw in this category next, but I feel like looking at it now, and this is our personal hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you put gently cooked or air dried next? I guess air dried because it's no heat, but gently cooked is still maintains a lot more moisture.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. But let's talk about them both. Do you want to talk about why gently cooked is becoming the new thing? And I know your perspective of it with senior dogs.
So gently cooked, I feel like is a great category. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it all the rage? I really think that it became all the rage.
The farmer's dog.
Well, it existed before COVID, but I really feel like COVID really pushed it to the next level.
Because all the plants were kind of
Nope. Because I feel like during COVID, we needed to feel comforted. And cooked food is comfort food.
I wonder if
and I really feel like that's the psychology behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think it got to a different level during COVID. So home cooked, I think is a great option if it makes you feel better that you're feeding your dog. I don't know that a cat's going to eat it, but
my cat does.
Really?
He steals it.
The raised right?
Yeah. He steals it out of the bowl, the dog bowl.
Interesting.
They make it Nature's Logic was saying that their gently cooked is same formula for cats and dogs.
Huh. Just like their cans.
And just like their cans and raised right. That was one of the questions I asked raised right is they have a separate one for cats.
Okay. So yes, cats, I guess, will eat it. Okay.
It's to me, it's fine. We'll talk about senior dogs and cooked food.
So I always have been I feel like senior dogs do better on cooked food because it's easier on the system. It's already been slightly cooked. So it's easier on their system to digest. Some of the fats are already processed out. We often see dogs later in life and cats later in life that have a little bit of
weaker immune system,
kidney disease, pickiness. When that food is slightly cooked, they just love it more. So I think it helps in a lot of ways.
To me, it's a lot of unnecessary plastic in the way that most of the companies I've seen package it. It's a lot of plastic.
It is. But honestly, how
else would you do it?
How else would you do it?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that because of the amount of moisture in it, if they did a frozen patty,
it would disintegrate once it thaws, or it would be mushy.
I think it would get mushy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe more quickly form those ice crystals.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yes, that's definitely not a great thing, but I don't know how you get past it.
Yeah, I tried it. My friend had she used it on her senior dog before her senior dog died of a different brand. And I tried one just out of curiosity on Kenny. And then I tried raised right on Kenny. And they were kind of the same. You could see more of the vegetables in one versus the other.
Uh-huh.
But there wasn't anything that was I wasn't super impressed or oh, I have to feed this way now. It was just a good thing to throw in rotation.
Right. But Right. I think that we also need to tell our listeners that we're diehard raw feeders.
Yeah.
To a degree. And
Yeah.
the only other cooked one I fed was small batch. We had some samples from small batch.
No, that was open farm.
No, small batch.
Small batch?
I promise. Yes. And here's less plastic. They
Wait, didn't know this.
Yes. They do a cooked in the small little medallions. And all of the medallions are in a bag just like the raw.
They
Yeah.
don't do it anymore?
They do.
Oh, shit.
We just don't.
Does it come in lamb?
Yeah. Yeah, they do lamb raw. So I would think that they're going to do.
Because they do very minimal flavors and lamb is one of them.
Small batch has a cooked.
Yeah. It's okay. We won't dwell on this.
They're all going to have it.
I know.
I mean, you heard Adam from Raised Right. Like they think it's the next category. Do I agree with that? I don't.
I agree with it for what you say, like the senior dogs and maybe even little dogs.
Yeah.
Maybe even like the little picky eaters. And I think that's fine. You know, that's why I ask, because I have a 13-pound dog and it takes me less time to go through those plastic packets of food, but they last up to 6 days thawed out.
Uh-huh.
And you can refreeze it once. So that would make sense.
Right.
For like even like a 5-pound dog. But for the dogs in between, I don't know.
It's supplemental for bigger dogs.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah.
I mean, unless
or it
you're...
would be great for, I guess it would be great for puppies too, to get them used to like...
Oh.
You don't think so?
I'd be... So if you fed...
No, not that.
Oh, in conjunction with...
To start getting them used to a less processed diet, to add moisture to their licky mat. Like I think people would feel a lot more comfortable with puppies putting like a gently cooked on a licky mat or like a licky bowl or like then raw right off the bat.
Yeah. Okay.
Not solely gently cooked.
Okay.
Why? What were you going to say? It's expensive.
It would worry me that they wouldn't want anything else.
I guess that point would still be valid. Okay, on to the next one. I think we've
air dried is the next one.
Yes, air dried.
Interestingly enough, I fed air dried tonight. I always keep a bag of Ziwi Peak because if I forget to grab food on the way home or if I forget to thaw, and I like to keep it kind of incorporated in their diet because when we travel, that's what we use.
Would you do carnivore over Ziwi ever?
So I love carnivore.
Yeah.
However, okay, so
carnivore is baked kibble.
Bake.
It's air dried. It's fast, rapid baked very quickly, and then it's air dried. And with the other food we're talking about is Ziwi Peak, which is a New Zealand based company that just air dries their food.
Right.
So they're two air dried categoried foods.
So let me tell you a story about Meg. Meg was the first dog I ever fed raw food to. So it was right after I bought Healthy Pet Products. I was crazy busy. That it was at the point that I was still making raw food or ordering online. I didn't have a freezer at the store yet. Like I had nothing to feed her. So I'm like, oh, she'll be fine. I'll take a can of tripe. I think it was a can of tripe. And I took a small bag of Wellness used to make.
They're air dried things.
No. God. And this is like almost 20 years ago.
Okay.
They made a kibble called Simple.
Okay.
So basically like a limited ingredient diet.
Yeah.
So I'm like, she'll be fine. So I gave her a cup, like a little bit of kibble and a little bit of the canned. Oh my God. She was so sick. I felt so bad.
Really?
She was diarrhea. She had diarrhea. She was throwing up. She was really sick from it.
Wow.
So, and not that I'm saying that, the boys would get sick on carnivore or if you were a raw feeder, because we do have customers that feed raw and they travel with carnivore. I think I just have a little PTSD from that. So,
because Sweet Pea does really well on it.
Does she?
Because I blend in like a little something just to like, the lamb. Yeah. Yeah. I like it. I haven't had any bad results with it.
I don't know if you realize how much we sell.
A lot.
It's great. We sell a lot of it.
Yeah. And that's what I do. Like if I'm if I'm gone and my brother's watching the dogs, I'll just be like, I can live with them having carnivore for like X amount of days.
Do they poop more?
Do they? They have not been on it just carnivore for long enough for me to know. I've really only been gone so far like 1 to 2 days.
Okay. Okay. But bottom line is we do want to say that we love carnivore.
Yes.
Yeah.
So carnivore is a air dried food that looks like kibble. So it's very convenient. It has 0 synthetic vitamins and minerals in it. And it's minimally processed. So the way that they get the kibble shape is they literally have to use like a mold. Whereas, we'll talk about this later, other kibbles are extruded. So they're heated in like a tube that shapes them that way, pretty much. Mm-hmm. I don't know how they do like the triangle ones. But they have to, like how you would make, I don't know, what do you bake with and have to, I'm not a macaroon. I don't know. It's like a little mold.
Are you talking about the squeezy thing that you push?
No, I think he literally said they have like...
It's a die cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a die cut.
Like mold thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you use that for because I'm not like well versed in the kitchen.
Right.
So who else has air dried? There's like a Canadian one that we saw at Global. And then Wellness had one at one point for like the little dogs. I don't know if they still do.
Are you talking about that soft and tender or whatever it was? Mm-hmm. I don't think that would. Did they call that air dried?
They called it air dried. Okay, next category I have is freeze dried.
Yes.
And this is very, very, very popular.
Oh, ridiculously popular.
Yeah.
And it is the most expensive category and the most popular and the one growing at the fastest rate.
And you have to solely rely on a freeze dryer, which has broken before. Like Stella and Chewy's freeze dryer went down and they weren't able to like
get the part. Mm-hmm. Classic COVID. Mm-hmm. So we're taking raw food and we're putting it through a freeze dryer to make it shelf stable. So it's literally freeze dried raw food. Mm-hmm. So similar to what they used to send people to war with or still send people to war with is freeze dried food.
And
we go camping with.
Yeah.
And just add more water. Add water.
Yeah. It comes in different form, like shapes. Like you can get like little nuggets, you can get like kind of patties, or you can get like
the nibbles.
Nibbles, but you can, what would you call the consistency of like Sojos?
Oh, the powdered. I would call that powdered.
Powdered. Yeah.
So, and some people use freeze-dried as a topper.
And treats.
Freeze-dried treats are the way to go because...
Or air-dried treats.
Very pure. That's the way to go.
So you don't have you're not using like the carby biscuits, the starchy biscuits.
Yep.
You have really high palatability because they're meat-based. And they're clean for the most part.
Yep.
The next I have is dehydrated.
Yes.
Oh, wait. Also freeze-dried. They also have freeze-dried topped kibble.
Yes. And, well, should we incorporate that with baked kibble? Because most of the freeze-dried coated...
Do you think we need to talk about the definition of freeze-drying? There's no heat added.
No. It's like a flash freezing.
Yeah. Pulls out the moisture.
Yeah. To make it shelf stable for a really long time.
Okay, then dehydrated.
So dehydrated, we have the Honest Kitchen.
Mm-hmm. And it comes in a powder and a kibble.
It comes in a powder and what they call clusters, which looks like kibble. So it's basically their dehydrated formula that they have hydrated, formed, and I guess dehydrated again?
I don't remember. But I know that they did a digestibility test on it.
Yeah.
And it came back like 93, 95, 90%.
Right.
Digestible.
Did I ever tell you about the time we took Bo camping and I took Honest Kitchen.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I was feeding too much or it's just compared to raw.
Pooping like crazy.
He literally
was he like a horse walking and pooping?
Yes, I did tell you the story.
No.
We felt so bad for him. He literally, because he was always typically in front of us. He literally would be walking down the trail and just poop. He wouldn't stop. He would just poop.
Oh my gosh. Would it come out formed or like liquidy?
It was formed.
Oh, that's so funny.
But he just kept on going and just kept on pooping.
Does he have a full tail or does he have like a little nub?
Bo has a full tail.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Dehydrated, you also have to rehydrate. And dehydrated pretty much only comes in powder, right?
Yeah. What other and honestly,
do
how many dehydrateds are there other than Honest Kitchen?
Not that I know of.
I think it's the only one.
Okay. Yeah. And then we have canned, which is...
But I thought canned spoiled my dog. I thought canned spoiled my cat.
Or if you feed canned, then your dog or cat's going to have bad teeth.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're being sarcastic, folks.
Yeah.
So...
No, there's some really, really, really incredible canned foods out there. Really high quality. Raruva, Open Farm. Well, Open Farm's more like boxed.
It's the Tetra Packs.
Tetra Packs.
ZV Peak, Lotus. Okay. So most people are shocked to hear that canned food comes before dry.
Oh, yeah. It's expensive though, too. It's an expensive way to feed.
It is an expensive way to feed.
But it's great to add to or just feed.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's full of moisture.
Yeah. If you get a good quality one, it's going to be mostly meat-based.
And it's
well-sourced.
It's not spoiling your dog or your cat, especially your cat. Your cat is an obligate carnivore.
Yeah.
So they need moisture.
Mm-hmm. And it's nice because canned, you have a lot of variety, especially for cat people whose cats will only have pâtés or only have shreds or only have morsels or only have stews. Like it's canned has such a nice variety of textured options.
So many options.
And ingredients in it too. I mean, you can go to like just meat to like a nice meat, veggie, whatever blend, multiple meats in it. I mean, there's so many options, especially for like your sensitive stomach dogs, your allergy dogs. I mean, you're going to definitely find something in the canned food aisle that can like meet those needs.
Yeah, you need moisture. And it doesn't cause bad teeth at all, at all. And kibble doesn't clean teeth.
No.
So that leads to our next category.
Baked
kibble.
Yes.
So baked kibble is baked as if you would bake it in your oven. Mm-hmm. So it crumbles easier. Mm-hmm. The nutrients are more bioavailable.
It's more nutrition dense.
Because we didn't cook the shit out of it.
Yep. So your dog, I mean, you typically will have more, but your dog probably won't need as much as an extruded kibble because their body can absorb more of it.
Yep.
Probably have a little bit less poop, but still poop. A decent amount.
And our baked kibble is
Lotus.
Stella & Chewy's. Is that it? There might be missing one.
Yeah, I feel like we're missing. No, Open Farm does not bake.
Instinct isn't baked. Mm-mm. Champion isn't baked.
Mm-mm.
Victor, of course, isn't baked. From Signature. There might be one or two others that we just don't carry.
Yeah. Does Tiki Dog bake?
There you go. Bingo.
Okay.
I did bring the cat into North Hills.
Okay. The kibble or the canned?
The kibble.
The kibble. Yeah.
And we do have the dog.
Yeah.
The
cans.
No, we have the kibble.
That's right. North Hills does.
North Hills, and I'm pretty sure Cranberry does. So baked is better than extruded. Mm-hmm. So the extrusion process is very high heat.
So I have the definition of extruded.
Go for it.
The process of extrusion uses high pressure, heat, and pre-mixed dough. Extrusion pushes the dough through a machine that shapes it and cooks it at the same time. Once it's cooled, the kibble is then sprayed with a coating of flavor and fat. It is the most efficient, least expensive way to make dog food and has been around since the 1950s.
I think before the 50s, but whatever.
For a long time.
Yeah, a really long time. So that's extrusion, and I would guess that 97% of all kibble
is extruded.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but you have your better extruded kibbles out there than, like, yes, is Purina extruded and a high-end kibble like Champion or Nature's Logic extruded? Yeah. Yes, they're both extruded, but they are very different in terms of quality as well.
Definitely. And we also have to be realistic on budget.
Mm-hmm.
And there are things that we can do to offset the starch load.
Mm-hmm. And so in kibble, there has to be starch. There has to be a binder. You have to have a sugar. You have to have a starch in order for it to stay in that shape.
Just like baking.
Yes.
Yep. There's no way around it.
Yeah. So that's why, like, when you get out of the kibble, you're not going to have as much starch and sugars in your diet. Yeah. So I also have here to talk about bioavailability in terms of, like, digestibility, why it's important, what the digestibility rate of, and I think talking about, like, the percentage of digestibility helps put things into perspective of why maybe a raw or even a gently cooked or home cooked meal is going to be better for your dog than a kibble. Because the digestibility of a raw is going to be closer to 95%, which means if you give them 1 cup of raw, 95% of that 1 cup of raw is going to be absorbed and used in the body for nutrients, for energy, for growth, for development, for maintenance. And then 5% will be eliminated, essentially. Mm-hmm. When you have a kibble, you're getting closer to what, 60, 70%, would you say?
Yeah.
So you're feeding 1 cup of kibble, only 60, 70% of that is going to be absorbed, used for beneficial purposes.
Correct.
The rest is going to come out and poop. So which is why a dog that's on kibble is going to poop a lot more and be fed a lot more than a dog on raw, because they need more of that to fit their nutritional needs.
You got it.
So then it's like, okay, yes, kibble's cheaper, but you're wasting so much through their elimination sometimes. And that's just not saying that, like, you have to feed raw or anything. It's just putting it in perspective of, like, terms of marketing, people pushing kibble, saying that's or better than anything else.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And they sell a lot of kibble.
So when we're talking about kibble, let's real quick, because I know we're getting closer to 30 minutes. Let's talk about ingredients to absolutely look at and to avoid on the ingredient panel with kibble, with canned.
One of the ones that I really warn people of is an unidentified meat source.
So that would usually say animal digest or animal protein or rendered proteins.
Or meat byproduct.
Yeah.
So animal byproduct and any unidentified meat source is not good. And the reason why is it could be any animal, and that any animal includes euthanized dogs and cats.
Mm-hmm. Or roadkill. Yeah.
Horses, farm animals, the 4Ds, they call them.
Yeah, let's talk about the 4D.
Dead,
dying,
diseased, decayed. I think is the fourth. Yeah.
And that means dying from, like, getting hit by a car.
Ill health.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that can mean farm animals that are just suffering.
We're not, like, slaughtered.
From a commercial animal feed operation, a CAFO.
Right.
Which do exist. And a lot of pet food comes from diseased and decaying animals from commercially raised.
And that's allowed. That's legal.
Oh, 100%.
Is the problem.
Yeah.
That's totally fine.
Yeah.
For them to do that.
Yep.
I mean, they're obviously not going to lead with that, but they can get away with it for sure.
So that is number one, in my opinion, one of the big red flags.
Powdered cellulose is a hidden word.
So powdered cellulose is basically sawdust. And you'll find that in a lot of weight management or hairball formulas.
Mm-hmm.
Another one?
Corn.
I mean, do humans digest corn?
I know like Farmina was putting corn in one of their formulas for the purpose of a sugar spike for
energy dogs.
Yeah,
high energy,
something like that. It wasn't used for any nutritional value purposes because they know that like corn, but they did put it in there for that sugar spike. But essentially, I mean, corn has no nutritional value. And even no matter what, Royal Canin will claim that even if you grind up corn really thin or like really small, thank you. It's better for the dog. You just can't see him shit it out is the problem when it's all powdered up.
Right.
It still has no nutritional benefit. It doesn't have any nutritional benefit for us.
Right.
It's a lot of the times the very first ingredient or the first or second or third ingredient corn is.
Yeah. Do you want to do another one or?
I have the last two I have are soy and gluten. Or not gluten. I don't guess what gluten, but soy.
Soy.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of it is genetically modified.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I started in the industry, three big ones were BHA, BHT, and ethoxyquin. Those are all chemical preservatives that are linked to cancer. So you don't see these on ingredient panels nearly as much as you used to, but I don't believe that they're not still in the food some way, somehow, because what a lot of people don't realize is if the food manufacturer doesn't put an ingredient in, they don't have to list it on their package. So in other words, if the meat processing plant preserves with BHA, BHT, or ethoxyquin and sells it to the meat manufacturer does not have to list it.
They didn't put it in.
Correct.
Yeah. That's scary.
So, very scary.
And that's why it's hard to trust. You can't really trust those big giant corporations who are trying to get cheaper meat and cheaper ingredients. And you want to stick to smaller companies where you can trace the protein source.
Correct.
And you can ask them about that and they'll give you, this. And a lot of the times it's this protein is sourced from here. This protein sourced from this farm, this protein, because all the same animals are not going to thrive in the same
environment. And Open Farm actually has a QR code. You snap that QR code and it tells you where the turkey came from and everything. So,
and that's a kibble that is an extruded kibble.
It is.
It's the only food that we sell that's certified humane, which means
it might be the only one on the market.
Which means those animals are at the top, like have the top-notch hair.
And hair probably because of the care.
Yeah.
They have access to outdoors. They're pastured.
Lights turned on and off for inside.
They're happy animals.
Yeah.
So,
which is why they're also expensive, but
yeah,
it's worth it.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any other ingredients?
I think those are the big ones.
Yeah. Flavoring.
I mean, that could be a whole episode in and of itself.
Yeah.
So why don't we leave that as an episode?
Okay. So this is just like, good. I think that was good. I think we were organized. We stayed on topic for the most part. Yeah. Do you want to talk about what we feed our animals and end it on that?
Okay.
You want to go first?
So I feed raw. I have been feeding raw for about 20 years. So what did my dogs eat tonight? Oh, actually, I already said it. DeSoto had Ziwi Peak tonight. But lately I've been feeding Vital Essentials rabbits. Vital Essentials is interesting because it's meat, bone, and organ. So it's basically like an alpha model, which the alpha dog would get the best of the kill, which is meat, bone, and organ. And that's the philosophy behind Vital Essentials. So I did just feed that raised right cooked sample. And the boys loved it. So they always get something different. That's the main thing. But I mean, I am going to incorporate more cooked food with Bo. Bo, our dog, is 13. He turned 13 in January. So he intermittently has had some digestive issues, just random throwing up weirdness. So I do want to incorporate more cooked food into his diet. I've done a lot of milk thistle. I've done a lot of bone broth. I actually completely took raw goat's milk out of his diet, and he's doing a lot better. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm feeding.
I do a lot of different things. Do you do any supplements?
Yeah.
How many supplements do you do?
Right now?
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Joint. I do the joint connectin from Enclover. I do the Optigest from Enclover, which is a prebiotic and digestive enzyme. I've been doing the milk thistle. I started milk thistle because Bo was doing that little bit of throwing up, and it was a little bit of bile. When a dog throws up bile, that's an indicator that the liver's under a little bit of stress, and the milk thistle can help with that. It definitely has. I also have the Colorado hemp honey with ginger, because when he throws up, I give him a little spoonful of it and he feels better. And sometimes he'll lick the carpet at night. So that usually helps with that. So the bone broth I do to help with the gut and the joints. And that's how I got away from the goat's milk, is I did the bone broth, because we're still, and the Optigest is feeding the gut. I don't know if the milk was just, milk creates phlegm.
Mm-hmm. And inflammation sometimes.
Yeah. So
I never, and this is just personal, and this is just things that are made up in my head. There's no scientific evidence to any of this. I don't ever recommend goat's milk to bully breeds. I don't do it to boxers, French bulldogs, pugs, pit bulls.
I remember you telling me that before, and you're probably...
I just feel like it's very rich, and it's a little too heavy for their systems, which are dogs that are already prone to a lot of issues.
Well, and the short snout, and they already have the whole breathing issue,
right?
So it makes sense that we want to that milk does create phlegm, which is what snots. You know what I mean? That's just, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, nothing is for every dog, no matter how perfect of a food it is.
Right. And you have to know your dog too. So I have 3 animals. We'll say you have cattle dogs. Mm-hmm. So they're high energy, very attentive dogs. And I have a Staffordshire Terrier, a 13-pound mutt, and a cat. So the Pitty she does best on lamb. So we stay on lamb, and we do rotate between, she does well on Stella and Chewy, and she does well on Primal. And I think, because I tried to do just lamb, and I think it's just a little bit too rich. And I think she needs some of the other, to dump, non-scientific, dumb it down a little bit, or I don't know how to explain. She does really well on it, surprisingly. She does carnivore too. She does tripe. She does a raw egg every day for food. And we're making lamb bone broth. We're currently making lamb bone broth with those necks. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited about that. And then she does the connectin. She does green-lipped mussel. She does cranberry. She does Optigest. She does spirulina. She does liver tonic, CBD. Yeah. All those things, all the little powders. The green-lipped mussel, connectin, cranberry. Jesus, she does also mushrooms. I know, but I'm like, she's not living much longer. I gotta load it all up now. You really should rotate through all of these things. Yeah. And some days I forget the spirulina. I just ran out. So I'm not gonna buy it right away. And then Kenny
gets nothing.
No. Well, Kenny doesn't. He's very picky with supplements. So Kenny he gets a smorgasbord. We've been doing the Raised Right. He rotates through Raised Right, Answers, Raw Dynamic, Small Batch, and then he gets 1 full sardine a day. and he will get a bilberry eye support because he has like a weird little eye that really helps with like the leaking. And then he gets a hip and joint as a little treat. And then I do often am able to get CBD oil in him. It's gotten better as he's gotten better. So I'll rotate between CBD dog health, Austin and Cat's immune support one. And then the cat just kind of gets whatever. No. Baby Sue gets a mixture also of like Weruva. He gets Primal Nuggets. He didn't really like Small Batch. That was kind of a waste. He did not really like Raw Dynamic. He will do Nature's Logic, canned too. So we're just kind of have a smorgasbord in the freezer. Oh, tripe. Did I say Sweepy gets tripe?
Yeah.
She does get tripe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kenny will sometimes get tripe too.
Do you want to tell our listeners what tripe is?
Oh, love tripe. Tripe is a stomach lining of the animal, and you want to get it unbleached or unchemically processed. So you want it to be green. You don't want it to be bleached. And it's great for the immune system. It's super stinky. It has like a very interesting, like chewy texture to it. But
stringy, chewy.
Yeah. And it smells like barnyard, but it's
no, it smells like shit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's in the barnyard. Yeah. And it's just super high in probiotics,
enzymes,
gut health, enzymes. Yeah.
It's the fourth stomach.
Mm-hmm. So it's only in like beef.
Of ruminant animals.
Yeah.
So venison, beef,
sheep,
lamb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those.
And that's why, well, we won't go into the whole tripe thing, but that's what tripe is.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent for dogs. Excellent for cats.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a wrap?
I think that's a wrap. I think that's a good time. Oh, yeah. We would love to answer your questions, and we would love for you to like give us a topic that you want us to talk about. Mm-hmm. So please, you can actually message us on any of our social media accounts and just reference this podcast. And then we have the email, customer service at healthypetproducts.net. And our website, there's a messaging option on our website as well that you can reach out to us. And that's all run by one person who is here with us in the room during this podcast.
And what would we do without her?
So it is guaranteed to get to us, this information.
DeSoto's getting upset.
I know.
So, but it would be great if we started getting questions, and we could do a whole episode just on questions.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You can even if you're shopping at the store and you think of a question, just tell them an associate that you're talking to.
Yep.
And they'll write it down and they'll give us that information.
Yep. And I just want to remind everyone that we are here to educate as many humans as we can about how important pet food is, and that we have to be our pets' advocates and fight for their health and wellness. And we're losing too many to cancer and autoimmune disease. And that's why we're here. So please give us a 5-star rating so that we can reach as many people as possible on the planet.
We just want to talk to people too.
Yeah.
And hear people's feedback, what they do, what works for them.
Yep.
All that stuff.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Till next time.